Good.
With that excellent connection.
At least at the moment. How's the bit rate?
Where's the bit rate at?
On the bottom right of OBS.
Oh, OBS. Bit rate is like 6,000.
Sweet. All right. Hey, everybody. I'm back. I have a fresh internet connection and a new internet service provider. So we're given some other options a go. And also I've been really busy. I've had a lot of exhibitions over the past, I don't know. I've been to 3 different cities within the last month. So it's been very busy, kind of painting frantically when I could. And I'm back to painting the 5 Joyful Mysteries. This time I'm on the Nativity. And I'll be painting Mary's face today, or we'll be working toward that. We'll see how far we get over the next 3 hours or so. But I've already mixed up some color, some skin tones. Here's the palette as I normally use it. It's a lead white, cad yellow, yellow ochre, cad red, cerulean, viridian, alizarin crimson, burnt sienna, and ultramarine blue. When I'm mixing skin tones, I like to kind of think about 3 value ranges. So I've mixed up some warmer, some cooler darks here. And then I've done about the same with some mid-range values and in colors that some were kind of more greenish, some a little more orange, some a little more red, some a little more gray and purple. And then kind of doing so with the lights as well. The nice thing about just having a few of these built up is, they're all variations of this color palette here. And so they really speak to one another and they have a lot of unity. Nice thing is with having these here, I can continue to mix and add and make subtle changes as I'm working on the portrait today. So thanks for tuning in, and again, feel free to ask any questions as we go, and I'll get to them. And if you don't have an immediate question, you can ask it later, or if you're watching this 5 years from now, send a quick message in the comments or a question in the comments, and I will get back as soon as I can.
Art Mingling? Art Mingling?
Hi, how's it going?
Said, glad you're live, was looking forward to it. Hello from San Diego. I'm painting in my studio right now, too.
Hey, all right. That's one of the things I really enjoy locally is when I can paint with other artists. So Art, happy to be painting with you today. Awesome. Thanks for tuning in, and you can just leave me on in the background if you want. Hopefully I'll have some things to talk about, and let me know how your creating is going today too. I'm gonna start off. So this is all dry. So here I am. I'm just kind of touching it. This is all dry. I've placed, I've got my really big highlights, and you can see the picture that I'm working on or working from here too. So you can hopefully see what I'm thinking about and what I'm looking at currently as well. And so I'm gonna get this really ready. So right now, these darks here aren't, they're not looking like they did when the paint was wet. And this is just a process called oiling out. I have a Walnut Oil Gel that I like to use in order to achieve that. Oh, sure, I'll even share that. That looks like this here. That's by Rublev Colors, naturalpigments.com. Great for just taking a little bit and reactivating all those colors around there. Really, it makes a big difference, and it also provides a little bit of a kind of a wet surface around everything I'm gonna paint on top of. So that's nice too. So here goes. I'm just gonna kind of rub this in, and you can see immediately with just a little bit of oil how rich and quickly those colors return to what they looked like when they were first applied.
Hey, A72 is here.
Hey, good to see A72.
And Art said I'm working on a portrait/figure oil painting, oil on linen.
All right. Good, great choices. I love linen. I'm working on linen too. I like the irregular weave. This has a very slight, and I really emphasize a very slight tooth to it. It's a fine grain linen from Raymar Art. Their panels, which I find are nice, and they have a rigid support, which is good for kind of stability. And over
They
time,
said I tried both linen and cotton canvases, and I like both, but linen seems much better. I'm wondering what you think is better. I guess you were answering that. So yeah, linen or cotton canvases?
Yeah, I think it depends on really depends on what you like. For me, I mean, I like the linen. I like a little bit of a smoother surface. Now you can get some pretty rough linen as well, so I think it just depends on how much of what they call a canvas tooth you like. And that also depends on how you paint. So some people paint in a more of an alla prima style, some people use an indirect method, and all of that comes into play. So it's for me personally, I like to see a little bit of tooth. I like to have that just to grip the paint and grip the brush a little bit as I apply it. That's just kind of my own personal preference. I do like oil or linen in the way it lends itself to a more old world feeling. That irregular weave, I think, is for the surface, kind of makes just harkens back to classical painting a little bit. Now, I was at a workshop just this last weekend, and I studied with Michael Shane Neal, a portrait painter, fantastic portrait painter, and he really liked a kind of a medium tooth cotton canvas, and that was his preference, and it made a lot of sense with the way he paints. And so it just depends on kind of what you want and what you want to achieve in the work. So, all right, going to get started. Everything that I learned last weekend, I'm going to set aside. It was really valuable, but I'm painting in a different way than what Shane mentioned last week. So Shane, if you're watching, or anyone else is watching that was there at the workshop, setting it aside for this painting since this was started in a different manner. So as you can see, I've already established a lot of the relationships of the lights and darks, and all of the color that I'm going to put over the top of it today will continue to grow on that, and we'll build on top of that kind of foundation that's already there with just a little bit of color. Some of that color is going to be really transparent and allow for these values to go ahead and kind of show forth through the oil color. Some of it's going to be really opaque, and you're not really going to see that layer on underneath, except that it still provides a good, a bit of, I don't know, it's like again, this foundation is a great way to think about it, where like it's just a good foundation of light dark. That, even if I'm putting color on top, it's going to be semi-transparent color, and you are seeing through even when it looks really opaque. So without further ado, I'm going to get started somewhere. And as I kind of look at it, the method I like to do, if you're learning, first, there's a lot of different ways you can kind of take it. But if you're learning it first, I like to really establish the darkest darks. And so I've already mixed up a black right here. My mixed black is burnt sienna and ultramarine blue. Allows you to kind of make it a little more brown and warm, or a little more cool and blue, depending on how much you use. That's again, a lot of ways to mix black. You don't have to do it that way. A lot of people feel really strongly about how they do it. So as I kind of look, some of the darkest areas I see are in and around the socket of the eye here, there at the mouth, the lower lip, that shadow being cast very dark. Nostril, some of the edges around here, and certainly I already have that dark established here. So as I work into these areas, I'm going to go ahead and begin laying down some of those really dark values I see that are almost black. You know, there might be a little warmth to them. So I've mixed up another really dark value here that has a little bit of warmth to it. And so yeah, here we go. Let's get started. Again, if you have questions along the way, feel free to, or comments or criticisms. I welcome criticism as well. Even mean. You want to be mean about it? That's fine too. Okay.
I'm not gonna read it. Try to do music. Are you gonna still do music?
So I've got a friend of mine. He's still putting together a few tracks, and you know that's kind of no small feat when you consider, you know, a live stream may take upwards to, you know, like 3 hours. So even asking my musician friend for, you know, hey, can I have 3 hours of music that doesn't seem too repetitive, that, you know, has a certain feel. You know, you can imagine, or I'll say you can probably only imagine what it's like. Sean also having worked with me, you know, over the last year, you know, I can get pretty picky. So
No.
now you're just being nice.
Yeah, he sucks.
And so like and so I was able to kind of outline some of the things that I was looking for in music, and he's been dutifully working on those. And in return, I'm going to paint his portrait.
Oh,
yeah. I'm really pumped by it, especially everything I learned last weekend. I'm going to give him a little. We're going to kind of trade our services, if you will.
Oh, that's cool.
And I'm excited about. He's a great. Here's one of those things that sounds weird when you say it, but it, you know, there's really kind of no other way to say it as a portrait painter. He's got a great face. He's got a great head. So if you're listening, yeah, you got a great head. I can't wait to have you sit for me while I paint your portrait. Gonna be a lot of fun. And I've known him almost all my life. I think we were even. We were in bitty basketball and all sorts of stuff together as kids. So and that's saying something. You know, I'm 42, so we've stayed in touch. We both remained in the Wichita area. So I've established some of those really dark darks. I'm gonna come into a few of these spots here along the edge of her head covering, and which are, you know, I feel it's again a good dark point, and these will, you know, kind of keep me on track, and I'll keep comparing to these darkest points when I add other color in and set it next to it. I'm gonna get a little warmer because this looks really warm in here. It's dark, but I see a lot of warmth in this space right in here through here. Used a little bit of alizarin crimson there with my black. So I'm gonna get this chin or jaw, excuse me, and just lay in some of that color. You know, I've made a few decisions. Her hair, I want to make it a little darker. You know, some of the, I don't think it's visible right now in the image. Maybe it is, but I want to make the hair darker. The model's hair was a little lighter than I was going for, and so I'll make those changes as needed to kind of achieve the goals for the painting, because that's the great thing about painting is, you know, it just doesn't, it doesn't have to look like what you're painting. In fact, it should, or painting from, it should, you know, have some life and have some character. So I'm going to kind of lay in some of this dark here. just to kind of keep comparing things too. I laid them pretty thick. I like to use a couple brushes. You know, I generally don't keep mineral spirits around to clean my brushes. It's all an attempt to have a little less harmful vapors floating around in the studio. I have a home studio, and you know, and I've not installed a ventilation system or anything like that. So I just kind of end up using, this will be my dark big brush, and I'll set it aside when I'm ready to move to some lighter values. But for the most part, I'll kind of keep using it as I move toward the light. There we go. So this is how I start to make these shifts. So I'm kind of looking around in the neck, and I'm noticing this, you know, nice warm shadow. And yes, you know, skin tone is warm, but you know, she's wearing a red garment that is not immediately noticeable from your vantage point. But she's wearing a red garment, so I know there's a lot of warmth bouncing around in there. So I've got these kind of warm shadows down here. But then I'm looking at her neck, which, if you could, you know, see the rest of the composition. The Christ child is in this next space here, you know, laying on white, and so there's a lot of reflected light, and you can see it along the edge of her face here. Well, it also comes into the neck here, so you know, all I've done is I've taken, and it looks a little cooler, so I've taken a little bit of a lighter dark here that has kind of a green, you know, bent, and just started to kind of place that in there. And you know, right now I'm not too worried about making it smooth or getting it just right. This is kind of what you would call some people call it the tiling phase, where you're like placing in tiles of color and slowly building it up.
So A72 asked about your opinion on barg drawings, BARGUE,
yeah.
and does it help in oil painting?
Yeah, I would say anything that helps you become a better draftsperson, anything that helps you draw with more accuracy. Like, those exercises are great for drawing, getting better with your drawing. Those exercises are also great with seeing value. So I've talked about in the past that you know, what you're really up against is always value, and how accurate your values are in painting. And so, like, value being one of the most important parts of this whole process. You know, so doing those drawings, doing those practice drawings will always be valuable, will never return empty. And yeah, if you've got the time to do it, that's great. And recommend it. Yeah, keep at those. I'm just a big proponent of do the things that improve you as an artist. So when I look back on my the last 20, I gotta keep thinking about it. Like, in the last 22, 23 years, the most invaluable thing for me, what I had access to when I was at the university, was just a live model. So we painted and drew from the live model. I kid you not, for years, 2-3 years, and it was really fun because, you know, obviously a setup like this, you know, I set up the model, I took some pictures, and I'm working from those pictures. But you know, last weekend I got to paint from the live model, doing a portrait, and it had been a while since I'd focused and had a multiple hour session with the live model, and it was a blast. You know, there was part of me, there's always that, like, can I still do what I used to be able to do? Yeah, I just, but it went well. I guess it was like riding a bike. I was really happy with the portrait. I'm gonna, I shared a little bit, I shared my entire experience on Patreon of how the weekend went, and you're welcome to check that out there.
So Art, she asked, and excuse me if I don't get the name right, because all these names are always super difficult. Do you like Gustav Klimt artwork?
Yeah.
It's kind of in between realism and expressionism.
Yeah. And Sean, props, man. You got it.
Did I?
Yeah, you got it. You nailed it.
So much pressure. I'm so nervous about it every time I see a name like that.
You got it.
Even just regular YouTube people name, and then you throw in like an artist name, and like.
Yeah, we
Do you really want me to show off my naivete? It's with names like that.
So, thank you for your courage, Sean.
Yeah, dude.
So,
this is what it's all about.
Appreciate
Being around you gives me the courage to do things that I normally can't.
Oh, no.
So, what do you think of him?
Yeah, great. I mean, beautiful. Just arresting would be a great word. Arresting imagery. Utilizing, both representational work and, to a degree, there's a lot of, there is a lot of accurate drawing to it. There's some exaggeration, but, I just find,
that's really unique.
Yeah, I find it beautiful. I mean, enjoyable, and I think many people do, because it meets that spot of you want to do something a little more than what you see, and so yeah, love the work, love the shapes, love the texture.
There's a lot of yellow.
Love the figures, and it's beautiful. I'm 100% on board with his work. So
I don't get it.
You won't find me really upset with too many things, or that's just kind of not my. Yeah, it's just not my.
So what makes this so good? It's a lot of color, a lot of shapes, a lot of misshapen figures. So what speaks to you about this?
I think just visually, I think they're like I said, the word, I know I'm gonna use the word again, arresting. Like the imagery is really strong. There's a lot of hard edges, which our eyes naturally kind of go to the hard edges, and that's a whole nother video where we could talk about edge quality. And so I think our eyes really travel a lot when looking at Klimt's work. And yeah, there's, I know it's kind of cliche, but the one he's really famous for, the kiss, is, it's very, very powerful. And, I don't know, I'm just really impressed with the work, and, enjoy it.
There's a picture of him with a cat, so I like him.
Yeah, we're a big cat house here, so.
Don't even get me started. I love my cats. Bart said it is relaxing to look at.
Yeah. And so to kind of tune back in here, I've worked on what I feel like are the kind of darkest areas, and I'm going to take the next step. I'm going to look more towards the dark to mid value ranges after I've built in some of those. So I'm going to start here in the cheek and kind of work my way up, and we'll just kind of see where we end up. Sometimes, I'll put this down, but I'm looking back to my material, and it looks cooler than that color. So that's why I've mixed these varieties. Like here's a little bit of the greenish, so that I can immediately neutralize that a little bit as I move upward into her face. Yeah, there we are. And you know, I kind of like this shadow color right now, and I'm going to use it to fill in a lot of these spaces that I see. Yeah, this was something I was able to crystallize a little bit over last weekend. Was just like, you know, when you've got a color on your brush, not only is it efficient, but continue to look for those spaces where you can use that same color. So, you know, I'm kind of just hunting around. It's a little too red, but again, I can come in with that green and knock that down some. See how that changed it really fast, and that's just using the opposite side of the color wheel to neutralize that out some, so that it is not as intense.
And Art's a cat lover herself, so.
All right. See,
good company.
so you just I think we naturally draw one another to each other. It's like you can tell, maybe it's a better way to put it.
Because cat people are usually more talented.
Oh man, these are
fighting words.
Yeah, I'm gonna get. I once made a post on Facebook. It was just I was taking a nap on the couch, and you know how it is. If you have a cat who likes to be near you, they always kind of want to be around your head, your face. Just interestingly enough, at least mine does. And he was quite literally laying. His head was laying on my face, and you know, it was pretty cute, but it was also kind of funny. You know, I took a quick selfie, and I posted it on Facebook, just saying, "Cats, am I right?" Because cats will they want to sleep where they want to sleep, and they just do it. And so that's all I meant by that, was like, cats, am I right? They just sleep anywhere they want.
Did someone start attacking you?
Oh yeah,
Really?
Yeah. So the whole. It was a very interesting.
What?
It's a very interesting social experiment. So if you're ever wondering about, you know, this whistleblower for Facebook, you know, and the things she's saying, you know, that the platform inherently brings out the worst in us. It quickly devolved. I mean, you know, some people were laughing because they saw that I was just making a joke about how cats love to sleep anywhere.
What did somebody think it was?
Oh, it turned into the whole message board, the whole conversation turned into I love dogs, or no, I love cats, and everyone was just like
so much disdain.
Right, like, and I was like, hey,
we can both love the
animals. Yeah. So I thought it was hilarious, and certainly I was like, wow, all this is true. This platform is.
It's all for.
Yeah, it's for me, it's kind of necessary evil. I don't know at the moment. So I don't know where it'll all end up.
I mean, I like dogs too, but
yeah,
you know, some people just have their preferences. I have 3 cats, and one of them is handicapped, and she's the best thing ever. And I'm just biased.
Yeah,
you know?
she's pretty cute.
And I was like brought up with cats, and so it makes sense that I'm more of a cat person. But dogs are cool too.
Opposite, I was brought up with miniature dachshund, and you know, that was I was never hesitant, but my wife was a cat person, and so we went with cats, and now I'm pretty sold. So
Cats are pretty solid.
So you'll see that I started this next. So all this movement, everything I'm doing is a step to a step to a step toward the light. And so I'm kind of comparing to what I chose beforehand and moving into the next area. And I'm going to continue to do that. So if I kind of get quiet, or if I talk about a bunch of other things and you want to know, hey, no, what did you do there and why did you do it? Just ask. I'm happy to talk about it, but you know, sometimes we'll just talk about cats. So gotta kind of be ready for just about anything.
I want so badly to post a picture of my cat on your live stream, but I won't.
Can you even do that?
I was gonna replace the picture of Mary with Patty real quick, but I feel like that wouldn't have been professional. So.
Well, I mean.
I'm not gonna do that.
It's brief. I mean, I don't know.
She's so cute. I wonder if I can. I'm gonna.
Yeah, if you send it to yourself via there, you can put it up.
Art, do you want to see my cat? Because I want to show you my cat. So send it like an email?
Yeah, I think if you, well, because you have your emails connected to my computer.
Yeah.
So also I'm looking at these, there's these really subtle temperature differences happening here in the cheek. And I'm trying to...
A72 would like you to explain the colors that you've pre-mixed.
Yeah. So great question. At the start of the video, I talked a little bit about it, but I'll say it again, and don't worry about it. I'm not asking you to go back and watch it, but I'm saying if someone else is watching it, they're going to get a little bit of review. So what I like to do is I like to mix my black first, and then I like to mix a range of darks from kind of a warm dark to maybe adding a little more of a green tinge to a little more of an orange tinge, a little of purple, so that's kind of a blue. And so I have these wide range of kind of dark, they're just, I mean, probably on the screen, they're not going to be all that distinguishable. But they do have kind of a bend or a leaning to certain colors. Then I like to take and do about the same thing in some mid-range. So I'll mix something that's a little more orangey or yellowy, a little more green, a little more red, or a little more kind of gray, a little more kind of purple, and then just these other subtle mixes of kind of beiges, where maybe one of these I'm leaning a little more on the cerulean, one of these I'm leaning a little more on the ultramarine blue, one of these I'm leaning a little more into the cad red, and I'm just trying to create a few variations in kind of the mid-tones. And then in the lights I do the same thing, so I'm mixing up something a little more yellow, something that's a little more maybe kind of more neutral, purple, green, red, blue. And these are all so that I can begin putting it down, and then when I don't like what I'm seeing when I lay it down, I can shift it to one of those other colors, or I can mix the two together to create something else, and just creates a lot of options. So I'm kind of thinking dark values, mid values, light values, and I will just kind of move around and shift around in those until I get some of the color that I like. But still, I'm just trying to mostly focus on value. So I've got so I noticed how I felt like this was kind of a warm shadow. So when I look at the nose here, it just seems a little cooler, a little more yellow across here than the warmth of this area. So I'll make the decision to say, okay, well, I'm gonna go with this kind of mid and see where I end up. And that's probably gonna be pretty good. It might be a little cooler, so I can dip into my blue here and make it just a little cooler. And it might need to be a little lighter too, so that's feeling a little dark. Yeah, I think it needs to be lighter. So I might set aside my brush now, again, since I'm not rinsing them out, washing them out. And I'm gonna pick up another one to begin getting some lighter values. So I'll kind of retain this brush for some lighter values.
Can I talk about my cat now?
Yeah. Did you put it up?
Yeah, I got her up there.
Okay.
So, yep, that's Hattie. We call her Hatticus because her little arms are handicapped, and I have a picture of that too. This is, hold on, let's see. I understand that this isn't super important, and this won't take much longer, but I love her so much, and she's so ridiculous. So let me pull up this one, and it shows her handicap a little bit better. Figure out how to do this.
So I'm taking a look at the nose. It's a little warm. I know you're also looking at a cat right now. That's okay too.
The cat kind of takes up the whole screen right now. Look at me real quick.
So if you can't see right now, I'm adding a little bit of warmth to the tip of the nose because I'm seeing some of that as I'm working into it. So I'm just trying to add a little bit of that to it.
Okay, I think I did it. Okay, yep, there it is. Okay, so this is Hattie, and like her front paws are deformed, and so she walks on her like forearms. So she runs around like a little kangaroo, and she was found on the street, and she got saved by a, what is it? It was like Wichita Action League or something. And I know, yeah, it would be so perfect for a cat portrait. That's what I keep telling Vince. But Vince is like, well, we'd have to make it very like clear that she has deformed paws, or else it's like, hey, this painter has no idea what he's doing painting this cat because the paws are all deformed. But she's so cute. I love her so much.
But it could also well, it's one of those things. So this is you bring up a great point, Sean.
Hey, thank you. Let's take this back into art.
One of the things that happens when you're painting anything is just the burden of proof. It rests on you as the painter, where no one's gonna say to me or to you as the artist, oh, yeah, they must have meant for those paws to look like that. They're gonna say he doesn't know how to draw, and that's fine. You're gonna have to overtell, and I say this to my students too. Just overtell. Do more than you think you have to make it clear, because when it's not clear, people will just assume that you're not good at drawing.
All right, so she's off.
Okay.
I did what I wanted to do. You can get back in the garden. I
All
just
good.
love her so much. I want the world to know about her. I never thought I could love a cat as much, and I think the fact that she's broken makes me love her like even more, because it's like you think that she's super helpless, but she is super not helpless. But she acts like she is, which is really cute. She's so dramatic about everything, but also she just steamrolls all the other two cats and knocks them out of the way because she's not graceful at all. Anyway,
She's got to do what she's got to do.
Yep, it's Hatticus. So let's get back into what we're here about.
So we're working here. I'm slowly moving toward the light areas, and I'm trying to make subtle decisions. Like I felt like the area right here above the upper, right above the upper lip, just looked a little cooler, a little greener, and so I thought I would put some of that down, and so you can kind of see how it's all beginning to piece together. And looking at that reflective light, I think it's a little blue on that underside. So I'm mixed together a little some of my piles here and see if I'm getting it anywhere close. It's probably a little too light. Trying to get this reflective light against here just right. I can't see a whole lot of color, but I know that it's something kind of like this. So we're going to try to get some of that in here. Again, the nice thing is all adjustable. I have all these piles of color ready, so when I get done and I get a little more in critique mode of my own work, I can say, all right, that really needs attention, or I need to adjust that. That needs to go darker or lighter. I'm more the person that leans in on, rather than getting it just right, try to get it all in first. Other teachers will say the exact opposite. They're like, don't put anything down until you're absolutely certain that's it. And I've just not found that works for me. If I have something done, then I can compare to what it's looking like in my source, and then make the adjustment. I find it easier that way personally. Maybe more work for myself, but I feel like I get a little more accurate that way. So you had your cat break. I hope it was good.
Oh, I want to show the picture of me putting her in space.
Next video. We got a lot of videos.
My Earth Conqueror one. I know. I just totally forgot about those. I'm not gonna show them right now. I have more. So many more pictures of her.
Everyone will also be happy to know David just got back. So David's in the house.
It is hot in this house.
Yeah. I suppose. Well, it's gonna get a little warmer than.
It was yesterday.
Yeah. Unseasonably warm for mid to late October right now. I think we're getting up to upper 70s. Fahrenheit for all of you in the other rest of the world. Okay, so you get slowly blocking in these little shapes of color, and I'm gonna continue to keep a nice soft edge up there near the hairline. The same in here around this cheek, which is really reflecting that white head covering a lot.
Hey, while you're working on this, can I try to set up the internet for my wife?
Yes.
'Cause she'll probably be upset if
Yep.
me.
So that range extender is somewhere. Well, not here. It's downstairs.
Okay.
I believe on the bookshelf.
Okay.
Next, yes, I think. If you plug it in, well, you'll just have to pull up on your phone that model and look up the instructions. It's pretty easy. But yes.
And do you have everything written down?
Yes, there's a. Is it right there? Is the. Yeah, there.
This is the thing?
Yep.
Okay.
The password.
That's a super weird password.
But it's gotta be weird.
It's code, man. It's code.
Don't say it out loud.
Password 1, 2, 3, exclamation point.
Admin. It's username. Password 1, 2, 3, 4.
7, 4, 3, Q, 3.
Password is password.
Do you have an Ethernet port on your computer?
Do I have it?
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Yes, I do. But what do you need
Don't
to?
instantly just lie to me.
No, I don't have it in right now. You asked if I had it in my computer. I don't.
Do you have an Ethernet port?
Yes.
I didn't say cord.
There should be a yellow cord. I think Anna picked it up.
I might need to borrow it to get the internet working.
Borrow my computer?
Just borrow the Ethernet port. Also your computer.
Ethernet port like this guy?
Yeah, I don't know how else you want me to say it.
So if you're watching right now and you're listening to this conversation, this is house conversation. So this is just
I'm just confused.
us all living together. If you've ever seen the TV show Full House, it's basically our lives around here. So
Which one am I?
well, you're Uncle Jesse. You're the cool you're the cool uncle. And what was his wife's name?
Rachel?
Rachel. I don't know.
Rebecca.
Yeah, Becca. That's right. Aunt Becky.
So
Aunt Becky.
Sierra's Aunt Sierra, Aunt Becky.
Aunt Becky. She's got the Aunt Becky vibe going.
David, you are Joey.
You're Uncle Joey.
That's the comedian, right?
Yeah.
You always have a smile on your face. You were literally the definition of a Wichita version of Joey from Full House.
Oh.
Unless you don't take that as a compliment. And in that case, I didn't mean it.
Yeah, you do have the hair, though.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. I mean, he's, that's what I'm saying.
You
Like,
need new muscles, dude?
I'm not talking about muscles, I'm talking about hair.
No, but Joey, I mean, what's his name? What's his name? He was pretty.
What was the actor's name? John Stamos?
John Stamos.
Stamos.
Yeah.
Still good looking again.
Still super.
Yeah,
good
still
guy.
it aged well. That guy.
Super
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
I'm gonna try to set this up, and then if I need your computer,
I don't understand.
you just plug it into the like range extender, right?
So again, you're getting this view into the life of
Not technically savvy.
you know.
Sorry, I'll go try to figure it out.
There's if you just look it up online, there'll be PDF instructions.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
I'll
easy.
help you in any way you want, man.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
So yeah, that's what happens when you get a new internet service provider. Shaking it all up, but hopefully you're getting the best connection you've ever had for one of my live streams. I hope. So yeah, as you can see, I'm kind of working toward the light here, and you know we'll get more subtle and get a little more specific as we get there. This is kind of a tough pose because you know, the light's coming from above. She's looking down into the manger scene, and so it's one of those things too where I had to very carefully you know, get enough light on her face so that it wasn't completely in shadow. And you're going to see the same thing when we work on Joseph. Maybe tomorrow, I don't know, maybe in a couple days. I've got 2 faces to do and 3 hands, and I may do another layer on the Christ child, maybe here and there, but I probably won't do a video on that one. But anyhow, let's see.
Art Mingling asks,
Yeah.
what time is it right now where you guys are at? It is 2:29 p.m.
That's right, 2:29. Thank you, David.
2:30. It's 2:30 now.
Yep. Oh, time change. Time. Inexorably moving on. Continuing. Yeah, sorry. The last, I don't know, 40 days, 45 days, been so full that, yeah, it's been next to, I snuck in a live stream or 2 in the middle of that, but it was pretty rough. So I am settled back in and going at it. And so I'm going to try to do it just about every day that I can. So stay tuned. Pop in.
The question was asked, which pigments you used during the first layer, and while first layer you only focused on value. Why did you only focus on it?
Yeah, great question.
It's 1 a.m. in India, just by the way.
Okay. Yeah, good to see you again. And again, thanks for watching. Thanks for being present. Thanks for asking great questions, because I'm going to be honest, I'm really bad at knowing what to talk about. The process is kind of so automatic now. It's hard for me to think through it. And you asking the questions helps me, get my stuff more straight. So under the layer is really, I'll use a little bit of lead white, raw umber, and that's about it. And it's kind of a mixture of that. Sometimes I'll do a lighter wash of the raw umber to get a little bit of a darker view. And I guess, mind you, this is all, those things are painted on top of a ground layer, which if you zoom back to, well, I don't know if there's any ground, there's not much ground layer showing in her face. So there's a ground layer of kind of a wash that's just raw umber, and that ends up tinting the canvas, not tinting, that's a bad word, not the correct use of the word, excuse me. What you want to do instead is, I guess it's just a wash to tone the canvas is probably the best way to put it. Once I've done that, I just put some white, some of that lead white on some of the highest or lightest value areas. And then I mix my black, or I put more of that raw umber in some of the darker areas, just so that it has a was just a little something for it to rest and sit upon and work upon. And so that's my first process. I don't use other colors so that I'm just trying to keep it quick and not really get too bogged down and trying to give it a lot of detail. And I could, and I have sometimes. That first layer really can have sometimes such good energy that I have went ahead and painted color, and it worked. So then no hard and fast rules. Some people really love to make it kind of a greenish underpainting, and then put these kind of warm skin tones on top of that green. Creates for some really beautiful. I think it's Adrian Gottlieb does it really well. Quite beautiful work with that kind of green underpainting first. So yeah, that's hopefully that answers the question. But yeah, trying to keep it simple and quick, and just provide enough of that underpainting to really give it the foundation it needs to be built upon. All right, I need to turn that form a little bit there. It's a little stronger than what I'm seeing in the model. And I'll still really rest a lot on what what my source material is showing me. But at the same time, if I'm getting an impression, I also trust those moments too, and say, I think there's something here that needs to be depicted in a certain way. Right. One thing about this method that tends to happen is there can be a little too much, like the dark areas are really dark, the light areas are really light, and sometimes I miss out on some of the great mid range. So if I had to kind of self-critique on this method, that would be my critique of myself. And some of the stuff that happens when I'm doing it. So I lose a little bit of that. There's a little more light underneath the eye socket here. I just want to get that depicted. Her eyes are closed, but I'll probably try to hint at, and this is a good thing to think about. Just because we have an eye doesn't mean we have to paint a white of an eye or worry about some of those really those specifics. It was just a matter of a line or hinting at a little bit of a dark shape, and because that's all that oftentimes I can make out anyway, if I'm honest. It's like, don't put information that's not there. It'll just can cause frustration. And we all know, if we were looking at somebody in kind of a light coming from above and they were looking down, there would be very little detail in the eyes for us to make out. And if we could see some, then we probably wouldn't be able to really distinguish the whites from the eyes, from like the skin around it. It would be really tough. And so, as I say all that to say, always strive to see what's there and not what you think is there. It's tough. All right, slowly working around, finding some spaces that need some of that attention. exaggerate a little bit on the lip here. I'm a big pinky. I use my pinky a lot to, some people use the mole stick, and for me, I just kind of always use my pinky when I need a little bit of stability for some areas that are tighter. David, do I have any questions? Okay, thanks.
I'm monitoring it.
Thanks, brother. Well, we'll set up better next time. All right, so, there's just these constant, I'm looking at these shapes, and I'm gonna really just chase after these now. I've put in the main big chunks, I would say for the most part, except when I just blatantly miss something, which I realize has just happened. The face is more or less, I would say, this will sound silly, but kind of done. The heavy lifting has already happened. And now it's a matter of refining, getting some of those fun temperature shifts in, and just a constant refinement. And it can be this is where it gets long, and the changes will be perceptible like an hour from now, you kind of keep working in these moments as you work toward really capturing what you see. So I wanted to start by getting some of these.
The question was asked,
Yeah.
Do you think toning the canvas before underpainting process is important? Should we just do underpainting and then paint over that afterwards?
So the one of the reasons why I like toning the canvas first is that I think painting up against like a white gessoed canvas it's hard. It's hard to see what is truly dark versus what is maybe just only a 70% value, and so I think it's a good way to do it, and it really takes almost no energy at all. You take a day and tone a bunch of the canvases and then let them dry, and you pick one up when you're ready to work on it that day, and that's usually kind of my method. Sean, you're back swiftly. Either it worked straight away or there was a setback.
Got a new t-shirt.
Oh.
It says Dopeless Hope Dealer.
Nice. This guy.
I like t-shirts. Sierra got me it.
Nice.
I need a WPS button, but this router doesn't have one.
It does.
Does it?
Yeah.
Where's that?
Oh, not that one. I think they're talking about the WPS button on the...
Yeah, but this one has to have one too. Wait, that's what it said on the video. It said that the video, you push this one on the router, and then you push that one on the extender.
I've never done that. I think you can just, if you plug it in, you can just log in, and I think I feel like it's as simple as it has been.
Do we need to download an app?
I don't think so. Okay. And after a while, I'll break out even the smaller brushes, but I'm still using these aren't necessarily tiny, but they're mostly flats, and I'm still trying to kind of think of it in terms of kind of carving out these shapes and working around the forms. One of the big questions, if you haven't asked, is how do you take a scene like the Nativity, which is, probably one of the most depicted scenes, in history, and try to make it fresh and make it so that it doesn't feel too, I don't know, too kitschy, because that's.
Hey Vince.
Yeah.
How do you take the nativity scene, which something is so original, and everything that you just said?
It's with great care, and trying to, yes, depict the scene, kind of meet the client's needs, but also create something that I think, using my light sense, using more of a Caravaggio light, a tenebrism, I think is a way to kind of give it a little bit more of that mystery that it needs, to feel, and not kind of fall to the dark side of these sort of images that they just end up being kind of cheesy. It's a careful thing.
Is there a particular color that you prefer for toning, or do you make similar to your palette color surface backgrounds?
Yeah. So I like to mix. A lot of times I'll just use just raw umber, and that works great. Other times I will mix maybe the raw umber with a little bit of burnt sienna, or ultramarine blue. So ultramarine blue and raw umber. So it gives it a little more, so it's not as warm and makes it a little cooler. And I did a bunch of kind of grays for some canvases. I mixed, this was the mixture that Michael Shane Neal used, which I liked as well, which was cerulean and raw umber. I really liked that mixture. It kind of made a gray, and then if I applied it as more of a wash, I felt like it was really nice. It's amazing how this, there's right now, the little parts that I'm kind of missing as I go and slowly adding. It's amazing how quickly those start to, once applied and once they're there, it starts working fast. I'm always amazed by that process. Don't need a whole lot for it to really begin working. So I'm really hopping around, jumping, making a few decisions, and that's another thing. I mean, like, staying in one spot for a long time is also not the best idea, but kind of jumping around, trying to address certain different parts and at different times, so that you're sort of working the whole as you're working these specific areas. Not getting too lost in the little details of any of it. Trying to really get it. See if I can. Some interesting spaces down here where the light's reflecting. I may end up changing it just for clarity's sake, because sometimes the way reflected light works in some of these spots is just not quite clear enough. So one thing that I liked last weekend was standing while I was, I did everything that we worked on just standing. So that might have to change.
I am a fan of standing.
On the top here, I'll get a little bit of a, if I want to create a nice highlight, I'll take a little of my alizarin crimson, mix it together with the lead white, and right here at the edge of the hair, there's kind of this really almost highlight, it starts to reflect the hair, which, we'll get into that too. Yeah, I kind of, it's one of my favorite highlights, because you never want to use just white if you can help it. I'm just going to get a little bit of color in there and find alizarin crimson and white turn out to be a nice highlight. Of course, she's got a definite highlight there in the nose too, and so I'll probably go ahead and put that in. I've already built it up just a little bit in the underpainting, so I'll just kind of do that again. Same for this cheekbone, just to add a little bit. And it starts to decay a little bit, but there's still quite a bit of light that falls here. It's just not as, and you gotta think about where your light's coming from. So the probably the brightest light is hitting here and here, these two spots, and then the nose should be a little darker, except for maybe you've got the highlight reflecting, but darker and darker still, because there's still some areas, some light falling there. On the lower lip, and even the chin. Darken this brow a little bit more. Too red. That's what I like having about some of these complementary colors. I can immediately change it.
Have you ever hired a model for painting? Just talking pictures and then you would paint from pictures? Or taking pictures?
Yes, I have.
Pretty much every time.
That's, just about, that is my process. Especially on scenes like this where, I know you can't see the whole composition, but soon enough, there is a there's not only is there an infant, which I did have I asked someone to have their baby present. If you're doing the nativity, you kind of need a baby. and it so between the baby, the woman posing for Mary, and the man posing for Joseph, it's a lot to take in and do all at once, and so it's much easier to take the photos and build the composition. Now, the big problem with that is you're seeing it complete before you've even laid a brush stroke down. You're kind of seeing everything done, and that presents its own challenges. So so be wary when you're doing it. I've said it quite a few times here, but my study was from life, and so I can use photos and I can use reference in that way, partially because I've already trained myself how to use it without accounting for lens distortion and just some of the weird ways that all of a sudden proportion is just off. It's a weird thing. So I'll just say that gotta go carefully. But yeah, it's too easy. I did not mean to do that. So much paint on the brush. So I've got this little tool. It's just kind of a fun little tool. It just has these sort of eraser-y ends. I should probably buy a new one. I don't know how effective they are anymore, but just sort of like soft eraser ends. And I just use it to like, whoops, I really put a big smudge down there. Didn't mean to put that much paint. And then I can just kind of wipe it up. Works a bit like a squeegee, a squeegee for the paint. So just kind of wipe it up a little bit. And that then I'll paint back on top of that, just not nearly this thick. So and I can kind of work that back in. Because there is a little bit of light hitting down there. I just want to get it right. This is probably a good time where, I've got a lot of pieces around. Some of those edges are kind of hard, but I'm gonna do a little bit of kind of buffering. So I like to do that two different ways. Sometimes I use a fan brush, and then other times I just have this kind of little soft brush here that allows for me to just kind of follow the forms, blend the paint a little bit, kind of see what needs attention next. And so I'm just gonna take a few minutes and do that. Yeah, if you have more questions, now's a great time. You see, I'm just gonna kind of clean up some of my areas that were a little harder. I'm gonna do my best, especially considering I'm painting Mary, to give her a youthful appearance, but also very very soft and yeah, I just gonna go very carefully. Probably kind of overdo it, frankly, but that's all right.
How much do you pay, and how do you look for that?
Yeah, how much do you pay? Is it pay the models, I presume?
Where to look for that? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have always rested on recommendations. So, honestly, this is a great question. Thanks for asking it, because if you think about it, I am a man, and if I'm asking a woman to pose for me, that certainly can feel kind of creeperish, right? I don't know. It's a little strange. But I had, for instance, a cousin who was a professional model, and she had posed for a painting or two of mine, and then when she was her schedule was busy, she was like, here, let me call my friend and have her recommend her, you know. And she was just like, she's modeled some before, and you know, she's great. And so, you know, I was like, sure, sounds good. And so, you know, I met the model, who's this model right here. I think this was probably 2016, maybe even into 2017. I don't remember exactly when. And we just developed really a working relationship. And it's going to sound strange, like, because this will sound as though I'm being too commonplace about it, or I'm not doing the whole muse thing, or I don't know. I mean, like, people are so weird about this when it comes to like the model and the artist. So she came and modeled for one of my pieces, and you know, I had her for the next one, called her again, you know, like, and so here's what happens after, you know, the fifth or sixth time. It's like we really become coworkers, and that's what I was going to say. It would sound weird. Really kind of coworkers and friends. And imagine someone knowing what you need before you ask it. And that's how I would describe like our familiarity now when we work together. And I'm really grateful because there are times where, you know, I've got the pose in mind and we're working through it. And for whatever reason, what I'm imagining in my head is not working in reality. It's like I feel like this should be working, it's not. And so what do I do here? It's, you know, and I can kind of put that to my model, and she knows how to solve those problems now. It's like she kind of knows what I'm looking for, what I'm hoping to achieve, and I can, you know, honestly, I can really let her do some of the posing, just with, like, you know, the knowledge that she's gonna know how to make it happen. It's really pretty cool. And so I would recommend, you know, if you find somebody, stick with them and kind of develop that relationship, so that kind of the art being made is this extension, almost a strange kind of oneness and understanding. I don't know. That would be my probably biggest recommendation, is to, you know, kind of find. So that's how I discovered her. Now, in the past, I've also, and this might have been a little, I don't know. I don't know that he took it weird at all, but I had another friend who was a friend on Facebook. But you know how friends on Facebook are. You may not know each other all that much, but you became friends for some reason because you met at some point. I had seen that he had done some modeling, and so I just sent him a message on Facebook and said, "Hey, I've noticed you've done some modeling. Would you consider modeling for some of my artwork?" And so I sent him a link so he could see the kind of work I make. I think that's important too, to send a link that shows the sort of work you're gonna make, or something similar you intend to make. That way they just know, right? Because they have a right idea before getting into it of what to expect. And you know, he said yes, which was great. And again, he and I have worked together on a couple of paintings now. And I would I would, honestly, probably for one of the next paintings that requires a manual model, I will look to him. Employ friends, so when I employ myself, because that's easy too. So when I'm posing for my own paintings, I have my wife take the pictures, which again, my wife very much knows the type of artwork I make, and she can help guide me. Sometimes I use a mirror when I'm doing that, where I can kind of guide myself if I can see my pose in the mirror while she's shooting with the camera. There's a lot to it. But as far as payment wise, I like to pay well, because whenever I ask, I hopefully will get a yes a yes back soon, and someone who's enthusiastic about it. So I try to offer 40 an hour, and so that means each photo shoot probably is anywhere from, it's usually around 2 hours. So it's, I guess, $80 a pop, if you want to look at it like that. So would somebody agree to sit for 2 hours for $80? I guess it's all in whoever would find that valuable. And I think some people are excited to be asked to paint, especially if you're not a creeper, not weird. That's kind of an honor. It's very few people get their portrait painted or get to be in an image that's gonna outlast their own lifetime. So I think that's, you got a couple things going for you anytime you ask anyone else to pose. So hopefully that answered your question.
That would be amazing. Do you sign a contract with them?
I have. I've gotten pretty lax with that, which is probably not good.
I didn't sign a contract.
Yeah, I know. David didn't sign a contract when he posed. See, so there's another one. David posed for me. Hey, because just saying, he's got a nice back. A nice back. Give credit where credit is due. So.
It's literally
What?
back is in that like.
I mean that's not bad either. So right. So I would say, how well do you know the person? Are you, if you don't know them at all, I'd do it. I would sign just a waiver. What we're doing is a little bit different than, say, like a photography waiver. So you might have, you have to be really careful doing like the modeling for photographers, because they may take a shot and you have no idea what they're going to use it for in the future. All of a sudden you might see your face on a billboard as like for an STD ad or something. So you do, so that's why contracts exist. It's just to like kind of cover you if you were to use that image in some other way. But on the whole, with painting, I've not encountered anyone who is really insistent on any, I don't know, any other residuals, or it hasn't happened. That's not to say that it won't. And if I didn't know the person at all, I would definitely do it. But now, I think the first time I worked with this model, I had her sign a contract because I didn't know her. But then maybe the second time I think I did, and then the third I just kind of was like, okay, I think we're friends now. And yeah. So in that continuing, like, hey, who knows who, and who can help you find the next person, you know, her sister has modeled as well, and her friend was the one with the baby, and so it's just kind of I think of it almost as like a referral system. If you're a kind person, and if you're not a creep, you know, and you are doing work that's honoring of people, and is truly beautifying and beautiful, you don't have to worry so much about it. I think people want to be on board. They want to be involved. I don't know. I guess ask the model that's not me, that's in the room right now, David. How did you feel about the process? So.
That's pretty good. And I brought another friend in the process. So
Yeah.
he was the chest. Dang, cut the chest.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know,
It's got a beautiful chest.
yeah. So yeah. Make sure, surround yourself with beautiful people that you can ask to be in paintings.
It does make you feel like a compliment when you're in a painting, like that you didn't solely ask for. Like you just get a picture, you're like, yeah, I'm good enough to be in a painting, unless you become an old hag, and then it feels a little maybe not as complimental, but you get your foot in the door.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm grateful too, because I mean the experience is always, you know, so fun, especially with friends, because you know it's people that, you know, I really love, and to be, you know, to like kind of just have them in the process of making, you know, what I hope are images that will, you know, last lifetimes. That, you know, we all kind of had this moment together, and it's you know, it's beautiful.
She says, "Thank you for the info."
Yeah.
No.
So did hers not have an Ethernet?
Oh, Sierra has hers at work.
Oh.
Yeah. And won't let me visit the local IP address for the setup because I can't get connected to it, and said Ethernet would be easier.
Yeah, you really got to plug it in. I mean, I've had good luck anytime I plugged it in.
Yeah.
I can't give you this computer because it's
Yep. Here, someone is.
Do you have an Ethernet cord?
Downstairs in the storage room, there is a computer box that should have some extras.
Like downstairs?
Yeah, your neck of the woods.
I'm assuming your student's not coming today, as it's 3 o'clock.
No. Yeah. All right. If you are watching, I'm currently far away from the screen. The streaming computer is across the room, and I'm like, sorry, I won't see your question immediately, but when my awesome friends and assistants come back, hopefully I'll be able to do that. So drop off that question. I'm gonna just kind of keep talking about some of the decisions I'm making. I am just floating around, looking for that next thing. And you know, so far, you know, I've only used these two brushes to lay everything in, just lights, darks. I've used these two brushes to kind of buff some things together, and we'll continue to do that. And I'm finally going to break out some of the smaller brushes for some of the edges. So, you know, I like to use these. They're just kind of long. They're long. Sometimes people call them a liner. There's some other term for it, but it's just long and useful, and I can use it to kind of work some of the edges to either add a little bit of color, pump a little bit of color to create some excitement, or clean up like this hard edge on the nose that I just painted in. When I do that, I like to look at that edge. So if I just kind of look at the edge of her nose, the bridge of the nose going back into the shadow back behind. there's a couple things that happen. We of course have little hairs all over our body, and sometimes those hairs create kind of a greenish edge, and then sometimes, like the edges where the form turns can look really red because there's a lot of blood vessels flowing into appendages like ears and noses and lips, and so there's always a lot of, you're never going to go wrong making it warm. So if I made it really red and warm, that would work. But I think I'm going to try to do something a little cooler, and we'll kind of see how that shakes up. So I just I got a little bit of thinner on here, and I've already mixed up some of my skin tones here, and so I'm gonna take this, and I'm gonna take a little bit of this kind of green, maybe a little bit of this blue, and I'm gonna kind of come in and gonna barely just find that edge, just soften this edge a little bit. And you can see right away, how like that, that changed it. And I'm gonna kind of keep working at that. I just noticed some of the same reflective light is coming up on the side of the nose, which I think is about this same color. So I'm gonna kind of do that here too, and we're gonna have to work on that a little bit, but kind of work that color in too, and I think that helped. I'm gonna bring back, because we're getting some of this lighter, and you can't see, but it's white down here, so it's reflecting back on the face, creating this kind of cooler white light on the underside. And those are the little things to pay attention to. They're worth chasing after. They're worth making decisions on. So here we are. I'm gonna do the same. And even for fun, I kind of like that's a little red. I'm gonna, just for fun, let's see what happens if I add a little bit of red warmth over the top of here, kind of where the bridges of the nose is sometimes a little warm. So these are those decisions that aren't necessary, aren't exactly what I see, but are also things that I know kind of happen in the face. Where if you're a Caucasian, there's a lot of warmth, or in the cheeks, upper cheeks, and across the top of the nose. So much blood flowing underneath the skin, because we're just kind of transparent, and so it's a thing that is visible. Probably didn't think of yourself as transparent. Not many of us want to be transparent. We like to hide our true selves. But this is about art, not about anything else. Although we have been known, when the crew is all in here, to give all kinds of advice, relationship advice too, if you want it. No promises, and you have to sign a digital waiver before we offer anymore. All right, so I'm going to add just a few spots where I see this reflected light on the side of her face. This is light's coming up. I'm still jumping around because I'm a firm believer in not spending all your time in one area. Even if I make a subtle adjustment on the top area here, quickly jumping back down, finding another spot that needs that attention, needs a little bit of focus, and then moving into it. So a couple areas that are really undone right now, and I can still see some unfinished edges is down here around the mouth and the bottom part of the nose. So those are moments too where I have to say, okay, I'm going to focus down here. until I until I get there, until I feel like, okay, yes, we're there. All right, so for instance, I don't have anything right here on the edge of the lip. So I'll kind of take a look there and see, all right, there's a line that needs to kind of go in there. So I get back out my liner here, and it's sort of reddish because it's where the lip turns. So I kind of see, when I look at it, it just looks a little red. So I'm gonna take a little bit of this, although it may be a little too much, meaning just a little too chromatic and being too saturated in color. Might need to really be a little more neutral rather than out and out kind of reddish, but I'm gonna still go with it. Same for this, the line in the shadow through here is really warm. So sometimes I'll just take a little bit of that. And I don't know how much of this is perceptible on the live stream, but just adding a little bit of color, intense color in between the light and the shadow is not only a great way to kind of soften that transition, but also create some visual intensity that, while sometimes not immediately perceptible, can really create just some visual interest. And it's kind of all we're ever after in this process, is creating something that really is striking, and that works. So I'm getting a lot of reflected light underneath the nose. It's warmer over here, so I'm going to kind of work on this side a little bit, because that's sort of reflecting some of the light in here. At least it's nostril. Kind of looking at my drawing a little bit, kind of adjust where the nostril is. I think I had it a little long and far. That's another thing that you can kind of constantly be doing, is make those drawing adjustments. Yeah. So kind of looking right. A lot of times, when you can't can't see my head and how much it's like turning back and forth and back and forth, trying to decide where and what I want to do next. I like, this is really pretty dark underneath here, so I'm going to take, if you've joined in the last few minutes, I've mixed up some skin tones here, and I'll just, there's kind of a dark mixture, a mid-tone mixture, and some light mixtures. And within those mixtures, I've tried to make some variations on something that's a little more orange, something that's a little more yellowy, something a little more green, something a little more bluish, purple, red, all those things. Yeah, what's up?
Hey, when you set up that extender for the first time, did you make an account?
Like
a login?
Yes.
Do you remember what it was?
No.
Did you set up the security questions?
Yes. Yeah.
Can I text you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cause, all right.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, you get it.
Yep. Do the thing.
Okay.
Isn't this fun? Like super secret. So, hey, one of the reasons today the stream is going really well. Got a new internet service provider. I will not give away who we had before, but not really that great service. So
Can I give it away?
Nope.
Okay. I
Okay.
texted you.
Thanks. All right, let's see. I'm gonna take a question. And all right, done. So we're doing kind of renewing the home network. You're probably saying, shouldn't you have already done that for the people that you love and live with? And yeah, I probably should have. That would have been the kind thing to do. All right, still working away, finding some of those spots, you know, like just putting this little spot right here, this dark little shadow, because not only is it shadowed from the light coming above, but it's also shadowed from the light coming up here and reflecting. And that really, putting that little, I mean, and here's, anytime you're doing a portrait or just about anything at all, there's going to be these little shapes that are really important. You know, some of the things, not important. Some of the things, really important. That one, that little shape was really important. It did a lot. So, yeah, it looks like I've got some help I'm gonna have to give here on the home networking front. Yeah, I feel like we're making some good progress here. Things are going well. Kind of looking back and forth, deciding. It's a little darker on top of this lip, on this side of the cheek. This is a much softer transition as it goes up into reflecting the nose. It's a lot softer than I have it there. If only if only I could tag somebody in. Well, if only I could tag somebody in. Who wants to paint? You gonna put down some color for me while I try to connect the network?
Nope. He's done.
He's done? All right. Okay. Sorry.
Did you already answer all these questions?
No. I told them promise. You know, we'll get to it. So yeah, where'd we leave off?
Do you use linseed oil to loosen the paint or other types of medium?
Yeah. So very little though, but I do have. Oh gosh, I always try to keep the materials nearby so I can show you. Chelsea Classical Studio they make a medium out of lavender spike oil. And you're gonna get so tired of me saying over and over again how I try to keep all of the VOCs out of the air when I'm painting. So try to avoid all the fumes. And that's one of the ways I do that is, you know, kind of avoiding using mineral spirits and things of that nature by using this Chelsea Classical Studio medium. You can look it up, lavender spike oil, and they have historical evidence of this medium being used for oil paintings during the Renaissance and the Renaissance Baroque time period. And so it not only thins the paint, so there's a lavender spike oil as well as linseed oil mixed together. And this company makes a few mixtures, and I tend to use their lean mixture a lot. They also have what they call a fat mixture, and that just involves how much linseed oil is in the medium mixture. And of course, with the painting theory that you should always work lean over fat. So increasing your oil layers, your oil consistency of your medium in your layers as you go higher and higher and higher in your layering. You can research all of that. You know, I'm probably a little bit bad. Because, you know, I'm of the attitude of use the things that you like using and use them, and look, save some work for conservators and restoration people in the centuries to come. We'll save some work for them. And so I don't really adhere strongly to the fat over lean rules. I want to give conservators and restorers a job, and I don't think it's going to fall apart. I'm really just joking, but I do think that people get really touchy about, well, you got to do it this way, otherwise it's not going to work. maybe you're not going to be around either to know if your method works. So, so it's cute. It's a cute little argument you can get into with other painters about it.
Can you repeat the name?
Yes, Chelsea. So like the name Chelsea. Classical Studio. That's the brand name. Cool thing is, for I think about $30 to $40. I don't know. Who knows? With all the inflation of late, it might be a lot more. I think it used to be $30. They'll send you like an 8-pack of all of their offerings and their materials. Very cool, very cheap way to give it a go and try out all their stuff. Word of warning: the odor is very strong. However, if you like the odor of lavender and also kind of eucalyptus, it kind of has a eucalyptus, menthol, lavender odor. And if I use a lot of it, it's very strong. I mean, if I'm like putting down a layer of a lot of color and I'm using a lot of medium, the studio and really the whole top floor of the house smells like it. So it's never bothered me. David, you're always in the studio with me. Does it ever bother you?
No, I think if your like doors are closed, windows are not open, it can give you a little bit of a headache if you're sensitive to smell. Yeah. But the headache, the nice thing is the headache is not because of you're breathing in fumes. It's just kind of like the odor thing. Yeah, but it's a strong odor. Yeah, like it is strong. Yeah, a Scentsy or something. Yeah, beyond the a clearing of the sinuses, Scentsy sort of a thing. Lavender spike oil, as in a spike. Very potent stuff. So it's so strong. I generally am very careful when I use it around other people. Like this last weekend, I was at the workshop, and I had it, but I never got it out till the last day when we were using just a little bit of medium, and because I didn't want to, there's like 9 other people in the room, not including the models. And I knew you just open the container and the odor really, gets around the room pretty fast. Again, I don't mind it at all. I like it. So I'm moving around here. Got out the buffer brush, making a few moves, making a few passes, softening some transitions. Deciding what comes next and how much detail I want to include in some of these areas. All right. And I'm gonna keep hopping around a little bit. So you're like, I'll do this, and then I'll say, oh, what's right here? So I see just an edge that I really haven't dealt with, and there's a really nice kind of cool color that happens in the hair there, and it's one of those points that I know I can exaggerate a little bit. So if I get some of this blue on here. And I could even dip directly into there, but I don't want it to be that exaggerated. But if I take a little bit, let's take a little more green now that I look at it. So maybe I can use a light green. All right, we're gonna go all out. I'm gonna get a little bit of Viridian on there and really push it hard. And just kind of this green on top of here, where the light is falling on the eyebrow. I'm always
kind of shocked at how much that does. To create, to talk a little bit about what light is doing, and as it falls on some of these areas, it's amazing to me that is what, just like at the edge of this shadow here, it just looks like a little greener. I talked about earlier, but if you've got a color on your brush and you just see that same color happening elsewhere, I mean, you've gotta jump into that spot too. Just kind of drop it in, and yeah. So cooler like here too, and then on this side of it, it looks really warm because it's a little hard area there. So I'll wipe the brush down just on a paper towel. And maybe get a little of burnt sienna. Kind of soften that with some warmth. Yeah, I like that. And it's weird because I see those little things, and if you get it right, it works. If you don't, it can really be awkward.
Georgia Rinick says that stuff is easily found on Amazon then, I'm assuming.
Yes. Talking about the Chelsea Classical Studio. Yeah. Yes, you are right. And it was Georgia. Is it Georgia?
Yep, Georgia.
Okay. Yeah. How often do you get the song, what's his name? The guy that sings Georgia song. Ray, yes? No. What? Who am I thinking? Ray Charles. Yeah. How often do you get the Ray Charles reference? Georgia. I won't sing it because,
Don't even go there.
That's right. I mean,
yes.
She said don't even go there?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yep.
That's great.
There's a pretty cool kind of hip hop remix of it. It's just one of those electronic beats guys makes it. He kind of samples it. Very cool. It's really in my head right now. So I'll doing all I can to not even go there as requested. Believe me, I'm from Kansas, and so basically everything is Dorothy and tornadoes around here. Mm-hmm. to anyone else. So.
Like if you ever leave Kansas, it's not in Kansas anymore.
Oh yeah. So there you go. Meet someone from Kansas. Never say that line. We have probably heard it. The not in Kansas anymore line. Oh my word.
But because of our charm, we'll laugh.
Yeah. Because we're Midwesterners. We're people of the earth and soil, and we're pleasant. We'll be nice about it. but internally, we are groaning.
And we've lost our respect.
Yeah, a little bit of there's the truth. A little bit truth from the heart of the Midwest. Don't go there. When I do a lot of traveling and driving across state lines, and Google is you know, every time you pass into a new state, you know, say, welcome to Kansas, or welcome to Missouri, or, you know, wherever you may be, wherever you're headed. I always kind of chuckle because there's a little icon that shows up that it apparently is what your state is most known for. And of course, our little icon is none other than little Dorothy. Dorothy and her dog Toto.
How do you keep your brushes moist during a day or two of not painting? Do you always wash them or just dip them in oil to stay moist till the next painting season?
Yeah, great question. I, for better or worse, I wash them every time. I know that would get me put in front of a firing squad to a lot of artists, but or to a lot of oil painters. But I wash them, I rinse them, I clean them every time. So.
Why the firing squad?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing to me the hills that some artists, oil painters, well, kind of like the fat over lean thing that I was mentioning earlier. Like, some people are really touchy. Like, no, you can never do that, or this is the best way. And I'm just not that person. So, I don't pretend to know. And so, yep, I wash them every day. So I was looking, and you know, I know that sometimes when working for photographs, you've got to think about what you know from life just about as much as putting down what you see. So it's really hard to make out when you're just looking at a photograph. But you know, if you know the anatomy of the skull, you know that we're going to have kind of a ridge that comes out to be a slight. You know, this varies from person to person, so this is not hard and fast rules. But it's going to be a little bit of it's kind of comes out, goes in the brow. It's going to come out and then go in, and that is going to swing around. You know, like, and so the knowledge of those things are what aid you when you're working on this. And I do a lot of skull paintings. You know, number one, you know, skulls are cool. You know, but number two, like every I paint the skull numerous times because it really helps me see the structure, the underlying bony structure, and invaluable. So if you haven't done a skull study in a while or ever, worth your time, just to kind of learn a little bit about what's happening in underneath the skin, because that's really what's going to tell us about the topography that's present. Especially working in photograph, because sometimes it's not always evident. Yeah, happy with how it's going. At this point, the changes are subtle. I don't know how much when I put something new down is really translating, but I'm gonna keep rolling. Got a little more I want to do. I'm gonna work on the neck next as well. It's always nice. It's a good idea to make the transitions around the hair with, a lot of lot of softness. My model has darker hair, but lightens it, and so there's sometimes just moments where I have to kind of go back in and kind of know what I know about darker hair. Some bluer highlights, but I mean, within reason, you can, if you want to create unity, I can use some of the same color here in the blue or the red fabric, which, is not really zoomed in on that today, but in some of these areas. And it's amazing how little decisions like that, carrying over a color from another area, just brings a lot of unity to the piece. Softening this edge, and it is pretty soft. There's a lot of hair, a lot of flyaways. I didn't want to quite make as many as there are, because otherwise it's a little excessive, but there's like a little bit of swoop of hair here that I have wanted to put in and just haven't gotten around to yet. If you weren't here at the very beginning, which I'm surprised if you were, because that was a long time ago, zoom in.
Oh, yep, there it goes.
And
How do you zoom in?
this little, here.
There's a dongle.
This gear.
Oh, that guy.
That one? No?
Yep. You're doing it. You're doing it. You're doing it.
Okay, it's out of focus now?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, totally out of focus.
Okay, so if you press, I guess, this, and then do the dial immediately, you might have to, yeah, and then do the dial immediately, it'll come up. All right, so I've got a little bit of walnut oil gel. Thanks, David, appreciate it. And I'm gonna make this little swoop of hair here. But what I wanna see is, I really wanna see what this area looks like. So it's dry, this is all dry and sunken in. All the richness of the oil color's not there anymore. And so I'm gonna just kind of rub in. Am I still on camera here, David? I'm doing this?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna kind of rub in a little bit here, just so that I can see what that looks like. So now I'm gonna make a few decisions. When doing hair, it's always greener than you think. So anytime you're making hair, go more green than you think, because amazingly, our hair has a lot of green in it. So I'm just gonna kind of make a few strokes here. That's it. I don't want it to get too light. I'm gonna do that. That's going to be kind of the highlight, and I'm going to leave that just where it is. I'm not I mean, I may put another one in, or maybe just something. Like, hair is one of those things that you just barely do. And you leave it alone. You leave it really brushy, leave it loose. So that's not nearly as dark as I'd like it to be, so I'm going to pull in some of my black. My mixed black is burnt sienna and ultramarine blue. And, you know, allows you a lot of leeway to... So yeah, here we go. We're going to darken that area of hair here. But I can see too that it gets really practically black underneath there, so I'm going to have to really lean in, grab a nice dip in a little harder into the black and pull that up. I want to get some a little more warmth in there. It's going to be hard to see. It kind of falls into the light. If I'm looking at the hair, there's a little bit that falls in the light right here. I'm going to make sure to capture that as it sits against the skin here just a bit. After I feel like I've kind of got this in effectively. Less is more, always with hair. You know, if you kind of look how I've done the hairline up here, there's really not a lot going on, you know, kind of leaving it a lot really full of stroke, full of energy. I've not tried to smooth it out. I'm going to leave it like that. And that's very, very much on purpose. Because if there's kind of a softness here, then leaving that kind of rough and that energy is more the essence of, you know, what hair does when you're depicting it. This is a deep dark space in here, so I'm going to give it a little more warmth and bring a little more black in. I'm just going to kind of pull that down a little bit. It's nice that that space really goes back in there quite a bit, and you know, slowly lightens as it comes around. But I just wanted to really emphasize that to send the, you know, really bring that chin forward to, or the jaw forward, and then send that back. And you know, anytime, you know, these are those good kind of art rules. Anytime you have a dark next to a light, you know, that dark is always going to recede and the light is always going to come forward. So you can use that sometimes to your ability to just make some things happen in space when really maybe you can't really do it. Same thing for like temperature. So it's cooler. The cooler will recede, the warmer colors come forth. And the same for chroma or color saturation. Neutrals, colors with low color saturation, recede. Colors with high chroma or high intensity reds and you know, we're going to come forward. So you can play with all three of those parameters to get some really good effects.
Thanks.
Hey, sorry it didn't work.
Oh, it's okay.
I promise we'll get you hooked up.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have 3 bars down in the basement.
Yeah, and at least initially you can hook up to this one. Promise we're gonna get it sorted. So
How's the thing going?
well, pretty good. Coming along. We had a random thing where the palette cam just turned off.
It's true.
It's like doing nothing. It just turned off.
The palette canvas? Or
Cam, yeah. It was just like,
Huh.
and I was like, is it a battery issue? Because
It's plugged in, right?
I know.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I got a sewing needle through the foot.
Ow.
Ah.
Yeah, I don't know why there was a sewing needle in the carpet in my room. But no, I don't mess with sewing needles. So I can only guess that it was my wife. But also, it kind of... It wasn't like straight into my foot. It was like at an angle because I was putting on my shoe. But it hurt.
There you go. The sort of things that happen in the Full House. This is an episode about a sewing needle in the foot.
In the foot.
It'll become. We just need to put a laugh track over the top of it.
I would feel like I was being mocked because I'm hurt, and
But your Uncle Jesse, and you know you're.
when he gets a needle through the foot, people laugh.
Um,
I feel like it would more be like Joey.
yeah, Joey would be probably a little more zany with it.
Happened to Joey. That happened to you. I did step on a nail yesterday, though.
Ah, man, what's going on, guys?
Wow.
Jacob just had nails and just standing up.
Wow.
Are you at Jacob's now?
Yeah.
Oh, you're not at the other place?
No.
I don't know how much I can say. When did you go from one place to another place?
Wait.
Nice. Yeah, hey, a little louder.
Your speakers are not very good.
Yeah, my speakers suck.
So, okay, all right. So keep that. All right, get ready. I like that second one. That second one was nice. Okay, all right. That's good. All right, Dave. All right, Sean. All right, so Sean.
Man, I was downstairs and I was putting on my shoes and I had a sewing needle go through my foot. I don't even know where it came from because I don't sew.
Another one. There we go.
Just good.
Everywhere you look.
Yeah, is that? I forgot that's how it goes, huh?
And it's okay because I'm super out of tune, so it doesn't even sound like the song. So it's not like it can be copyrighted.
I forget how many seconds you have. YouTube gets
30
you
seconds, I think, right?
3. Or I think it's like 3 or 4 seconds, or maybe it's 10. I don't know.
Huh?
10? But before they come down and give you the flag.
What's that? YouTube copyright sounds.
Oh man.
I don't like that at all.
It's gonna come into your future. Trying to think of boo.
Like
There we go.
boo hiss.
I like the person at the end. Boo, boo.
Yeah, he was just overachieving. He's like, I want my voice to be heard above all others.
I want to be remembered. It's laugh track.
Dude, only 0.1% of your frames have been dropped.
That's amazing.
It's only 170 frames dropped.
Whereas before,
We were at like 20%.
20. Yeah. Wow.
20%.
Wow. I'm sure that helped with watchability.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know, like yeah.
I'm sure it wasn't like trash. It looks like, I don't know, people might have appreciated it more.
Hey, so if you were here in the past and you were subjected to the all that drop frame business, I am so sorry, and just apologize. Doing my best doing my best to make it better.
You really leaned into this, huh? I think we should get like a soundboard and like put these on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would we do? Wait.
I think the distortion is good on your computer though, because probably those sounds are also copyrighted, and so in fact I know there's a YouTuber who he just what on earth?
It's a cat!
Okay.
I was
Oh.
trying to find a duck, but it couldn't.
That's
Not
not
a cat,
that's
okay.
a cat.
Well, no, but you had your cat on before, so.
Well, hopefully those they used a rain sound, and then someone dinged him for like the rain soundtrack.
What?
I know.
It's literally just rain.
I know. Somebody recorded that rain, and I think to them go the spoils.
That's...
Yeah, you know. I mean, it's okay. So I'm making a few little decisions here, like you know, a nice reflected light at the bottom of the hair here, just a little bit of it, you know, and let's see. And probably about all I'm gonna do, because I don't want to. Again, less is more. So I'm gonna focus a little more on the neck area, and And yeah, there's a little bit more around the mouth and there's just some edges that need a little bit more attention, but no, feeling good with how much has gotten done today. So thanks for sticking around. If you have more questions, man, fire them off. Otherwise, we're just gonna keep entertaining ourselves with sound effects and stories, and then learning ceases. Maybe entertainment increases, but learning ceases. Oh man, I think Paul Revere just rode by. Hey, whoa!
Okay, I'm done. Sorry. That was good. Good times. Well,
are you going to the gym?
Can I say the thing? I do CrossFit. Do you know that?
Yeah.
Can you do that?
You just did.
I just did. It's not a big deal or anything, unless you want to make it a big
that's
deal.
copyrighted.
Unless you want to talk about it with anyone who asks,
I'm really
or anyone who even remotely
I don't have a
gives
whole lot of going on in my life right now.
gives you a lot of.
CrossFit is definitely the thing that I will talk about. Either that or my cat. Or, I got married.
Yep,
I'm still sober.
that's good too.
Those are all great things.
I'm going to school.
All right,
Okay, bye-bye.
bye bye.
I actually need to go to the gym too.
Well,
Not CrossFit.
that means all my friends are departing.
The full house is a little less full.
Yep,
But everywhere you look,
yep.
there'll be friends. Okay. Peace.
See ya. Thanks, David.
Bring these headphones just in case.
All right. Well, if you have questions, stick around, drop them off, and I will. I'll see them at the end. Which I'm giving myself about. I'm gonna guess that there's about 30 more minutes here, or somewhere in that. But I do want to say, come back tomorrow. I'm not sure which section I'll be on, but I've got Joseph's head. So if you want to see a bearded man be depicted, that might be tomorrow. And I have 3 hands to do as well. So I've got a lot to work on. And this whole week, I'm going to stream every day if I'm working on it. I've already mixed up my skin tones, and so I'm going to try to get the most out of that mix time as possible. So if I mix it, then I really don't want to have to mix it again. And so I'm going to kind of keep coming back to these repeatedly. Because even though like some of the color will be subtly different, in mixing these tones that I have mixed, I've went ahead and just made it easier on myself for each day. I won't have to take 30 some minutes to mix up these piles. So when I'm looking down where there's a little bit of light, it's probably not this bright, falling a little bit on our chest. I just want to hint at that because that's again just some of this light traveling down, touching the face here, touching the chest. And if you could see all of this, if this was all, A, the camera was back far enough, and B, everything was oiled out, you would see this, it's just really kind of soft and subtle light. It's making its way all the way down. Getting a little diffused through the hair. And yeah. So I'm just gonna soften it. And really it'll be just fine. I don't have to do a lot of form modeling in here because it's in the dark. It's really hard to see what's going on there anyway. And the important parts of the painting, the figures, their faces, the Christ child in the center, each one in their place, doing their part. You're not going to be thinking about this spot down here unless it was just totally weird. And so I think those are good things to kind of remember when we're creating. We can spend a lot of time in areas that don't matter a whole lot, or we can spend our energies in the spots that the eyes are going to go anyway. So all eyes are going to be focused in here. This really soft, it's already really dark here, but some of these areas I'm going to just add some of that darkness. Where I do feel like I see some areas that are a little different. Yeah, I'm liking how it's turning out today. And I say that because I don't always. Just like all of us, there's good days and there's bad. So. Yep, drop off those questions. I will see them in about 30 minutes. And I'll answer them before I log out. Soften up. And you notice I talk about this in videos and videos past, and this one too. How you move the brush also helps you describe things. So if I am moving the brush in these kind of circular motions, what I'm doing is I'm telling us that the neck is coming out this way. If I'm not doing that, then I could do it the other way and the effect would be totally different. So the way you move the brush, especially when trying to carefully model forms, is as though you were moving a contour line. It's as though as I imagine the neck as numerous rings, and I'm going to kind of keep working up into the rings. I looked at that I maybe have a little bit of a drawing error. I think her neck goes back further than what I have it here, just kind of looking. So I need to adjust that with I've got my dark brush, and I'm just going to take some of my really dark, warm, because that's what I see. It looks really warm underneath there, and I'm just going to describe that a little more clearer. And not only that, but I'm looking at the line, and right here, yeah, sure enough. I think that's about the right point. Like if I had to say where on the chin here as compared to her clothing in the shadow and the overall shape of the chin. And this is how I draw. I just, as a series of comparisons. So I'm looking at the distance here. I'm looking at where does this line kind of meet up with right at the chin. And then, so I feel good about that point, right where it meets up. Now, what I don't feel good about is the angle with which I've just done it. So rather than it being like this, it's more like this. It's a little more of an angle. So if I kind of do this, then that's going to change it. It's going to work better, and it's going to work more like it is. So I'm going to bring that back up, soften that some, and then kind of come back in. Same thing. And if this is the edge of the neck, I'm going to try to really kind of come up to that edge with my brush and stop there, as though kind of pulling it around each time. And again, this is just my little buffer brush that is making all this possible here, softening those marks I've already put down. Okay. A little more down here. It's hard to see what's happening. It's all really pretty dark. I don't know, I may be off the screen too. I'm not really sure. I can't remember where that all ended. All right, I think that's good. I'm gonna move up into the face, adjust the last few things. And so right now, the problem areas that I see are all edges. That really need to be addressed. So there's edges here on the nose, around the lips, a few in the eyes, and kind of up along the head here. And you know, and this is a game of continuing to work through it. And so, you know, just it's a bit of a battle. Finding those spots, and sometimes really, you know, maybe the buffer brush, I could just kind of buff what's in there. And let's see if we can do that with kind of one of these spots, like say here, underneath here. Sometimes I can just do that with the brush. You know, there's enough paint there, I was able to just soften that up, and it worked. You know, that seemed to work too. That was all right. Sometimes I have to put down just a little bit of color. Yeah, it's working. I can do the same thing there in the mouth, our lips. See how that turns out. It's a little bit too, probably I get a little too much light there. The light kind of decays before that, but you know, I always exaggerate a little bit. If you don't have one yet, you know, a mirror is really a good thing to have. It allows you to take a quick, so say painless, but usually it's not painless. Usually it stings. Give yourself a quick critique that allows you to see it fresh. So I always keep a mirror handy and try to look at my work periodically just to see, you know, am I on the right track? Is there a hard edge, or is there something really sticking out that I haven't addressed? Really helps. Kind of move into this shadow area here, front of the mouth. I think that's going to need some paint, so I couldn't quite pull that. So now since we're dealing with a little details, I'll break out the kind of liner brush. But remember, for the most part, I've tried to avoid it. You know, I'm not a big fan of, you know, working out these kind of little marks. I want to use the biggest, broadest brush I can for the longest amount of time, and then start working into it with smaller and smaller brushes as needed. And now that I'm getting into, you know, more delicate parts, working around things that I'm attached to and I don't really want to lose, I'll break out the smaller brush. So. And it's really dark on top of the lip, because again, it's one of those spots that is shadowed from above and below. And so the more I emphasize that, the more we're going to really feel that reflected light and feel it working. And when I get up to the eyes, I want to remain vague. I don't really want it to be clear whether they're open or closed, so that the viewer, when they come to the piece, they bring their own narrative to the nativity. Is there? So that'll be. I'm gonna try to purposefully leave that a little vague. Some of these edges, I want to soften. It's a great opportunity. Softening that edge, I can pump in. I can really get some alizarin crimson or some cad red, and just kind of really warm that line up, soften it, and at the same time give some punch. If you've dropped in, I'll answer all questions in about 15 minutes. I'm trying to give myself a time limit. And so just type out your question, and I am going to get to it, I promise. And maybe there'll be no questions. I don't know, either way. I just, normally, if I'm solo, I set everything up so that I can read comments and questions. But I had my assistants and friends in the studio earlier, and they were fielding them and sending them my way, so I didn't have to kind of do double duty. Does help to have the friends around. Really appreciate them. And if you can't tell by our banter, we really enjoy being around one another. Special things to have people in your life that are for you and love you and care for you, who call you to good things, and call you to more than you would be on your own. And that's exactly what they do for me every day. I'm so grateful. I'm deciding. This is one of those moments where I'm getting no favors from working from a photograph, because I just have so little information here at the moment. And when I put something in that I think goes there, it can quickly go south. So then I have to kind of work it back out, thinking, well, wasn't the key. And lost edges are okay. So, I was kind of looking and I was like, I can't really tell in this space where the edge of the nose is and where it kind of meets the reflected light here. I'm going to just push that. So, to kind of take my buffer brush and I just work right on top together and let them just blend together. And that's all right. One of the things about, painting representational work is that, you are always going to be encountering spaces that aren't clear. And so trying to create too much clarity is, or adding all the details, thinking that, oh, the more details I add, the more real it'll look, or the more clarity I add, the more, not necessarily. So I think it's good to lean into those spaces that are, they're both unclear and depict them. Leave them that same amount. If it's vague, that's all I can really make out information-wise. I'm going to leave it that way. So okay, moving into the eyes a little bit. Carefully looking at some of my drawing, thinking that needs, maybe it doesn't need to go that far. Probably the cheek can go out a little more. We'll be working for the rest of the week. If you're here and you've come to the tail end, and tune in tomorrow. The day after that, we are gonna be working on it. There'll be a new face since I've got a couple of flesh, got a couple faces, got a couple hands. Gonna be doing it all this week, so come back tomorrow if you're like, oh man, I kind of already missed out on everything. Don't worry, there's more to come. There's a slight kind of happy accident. Oh boy, I said that. And kind of up here where some of the ridges that I didn't quite smooth out are reading like emotion in the forehead, and I am gonna just leave that and not touch it. Those are gifts, gifts from God, and I'm gonna leave it there. I'm not trying to mess with that too much, lest some of that disappears and I lose the kind of the emotion that's being present. There's just some of this, whatever's going on coloristically up here, it's just working. So those times you just say a quick thank you and you keep trucking. I do want to make sure that I'm getting all of this really clear. All studios are above the garage, So you are hearing the garage door open. Okay. Just a few more little areas here, and I think that's gonna do it. Stick around if you had that question. I'm gonna field all those right about almost now. I'm gonna soften this edge a little bit, make it a little warmer. Just it was a little cool and hard. Okay. All right. As we get to, I can step back from the painting and see it from afar. It's always a good thing to do. All right. Let's see. So art. So great. Great question. Do I prefer painting figures, or doing the background first and then the figures? Not always. Sometimes I like to start with the faces and do all of the work on the faces first, and that can vary some. The big thing is I just try to shake it up. So doing different things, doing new processes that I wouldn't do otherwise. Like, so sometimes diving into it with the face first, and then other times working from back to front, and other times it's just more efficient to maybe work on an area next to the area, because it will be that way I can blend into some of the other sections easier. So yeah, there's a lot of reasons I do it differently, but I just try to shake it up. That's the big thing, is just do something different each time. With that was the last question. Hey, thank you all so much for being here, and I will see you again tomorrow. I'll be back, so I hope you'll be back to join me. Thank you, and have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Do we have internet?
We have internet! See, there's a question that tells you a lot. Bye!